China is at the forefront of a whole lot of things: clean energy, EVs, and whatnot. The air is getting better, and it is exciting all around. But we're going to talk today about some big moves in clean energy and some exciting things in EVs, specifically as it pertains to Tesla. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Joining me today, as he so often does, is my good buddy Herbert from Brighter. He's an expert on a lot of things, but specifically EVs and clean tech are right up his alley, along with robots. We're not talking about robots today. No. I know. It'd be more exciting if we did. We can think about that. So what we're looking at here, Herbert, is this. Yeah. This is an article from The Guardian, where they're making their pumpkins here. China adds new power equivalent to an entire city, really, equivalent to UK's entire energy output. Wow. So yeah, what's going on is you're going to keep adding power sources. China adds nuclear. China doesn't appear to be adding coal, but renewables are surging. Why do you think that is?
Why is renewable surging in China? It's because they have the entire country's government supporting this, making it happen, investing in it, giving incentives, giving disincentives for for things that are not renewable energy. When they want to do something, they make things happen. And just you and I reported, was it last week, that the very first time China, if you're trying to buy a vehicle in China, more than 50% now are new electric vehicles. This is hybrids plus the battery electric vehicles. So this is their path. And then, as you saw, Tony Seba, his predictions are all coming true. If you look at his charts, what's happening to the price of lithium has just fallen significantly. So it's now, I think the crossover happened again just a month or two ago, where finally it is so much cheaper now to buy solar, to buy wind, to buy this renewable energy and electricity than it is now oil and gas. And so, but like Elon said, right? It's not saying that oil and gas is an enemy. You don't have to be so much against them, but it is now economically more feasible to go and invest in these new renewables. And China, when they invest in something like this and they do it at scale, they'll get there first before any other country.
Interestingly, you've got this figure here. Last year, China installed 293 gigawatts of wind and solar capacity. Yeah. Now, of course, those being renewable, they're not always running at full speed, but they are always running at, almost always running at some speed. With the capacity, China's primary energy source, coal, is at 1.3 terawatts or 150. So it's 150 gigawatts more than coal.
Yeah, that second line, though, last month, solar and wind capacity outstripped China's coal-fired electricity capacity. They did that for the first time in last month. The same report happened in California just last month as well. So this is happening.
And that's very exciting. Now, another reason we should point out that China is growing so quickly is if you and I, in our country, of whichever country it is that isn't China, wish to purchase solar panels or wind turbines, where do we get them from?
I don't know. There you go. China.
Yeah, we get them from China. Yeah. And that means that if they're buying them locally, they're going to skip the shipping costs. They're going to skip any import tariffs. They've got the minerals, they've got the manufacturing. It means it's very easy for them. And these things go up pretty quickly compared to really any other kind of power plant.
And as everything, it's all based on scale, right? And so if you had like one city in the US say, hey, we're going to go ahead and invest in this, great. But when you're in China and they go, we've got 20 cities that are all going to buy this, we're all going to go in this direction, costs go down, volume goes up, factories build, companies are built, and then they're able to innovate and then also just mass scale, which is what they do really well.
They do all that really well, like you were saying with the support and all that. And to all the naysayers, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like wind and solar, if you don't like renewables, good news, unless you live in China, this doesn't affect you, except that we do all breathe the same air. So the good news is the air that you breathe is going to be a little bit better because of this. Now, sticking with China, and this is the second part of today's video, is that we've got the Model Y Juniper is critical to Tesla China's dominance. Tesla, as it accounted for 78.5% of July retail sales.
Versus
I think
Model
they just
3.
mean the Model.
Yeah.
I think they mean just the Model Y pre-Juniper. And is the second best-selling vehicle in the Chinese NEV market in 2024.
Yeah. I just saw some stat recently, and I don't have the exact number, so I think this might actually have it. That the Model 3, for example, this is it. Thank you for following this up. The Model 3 versus Model Y sales in China, it's surprising that Model Y is, like you said here, 78.5%, right? That's what they're saying. Total percentage of Y versus the Model 3. Why is the Model 3 still not breaking through despite the revised Model 3? Still not breaking through. It's either meaning to say that Model Y is just so much desired by everyone versus Model 3, or it's just that, right? It's just the timing, right? Maybe it's need to come. And then I wanted to ask you, what would happen if they produce a Model 3 in China, just like they launched in Mexico? Lower end, they removed a lot of things. They just have the textile version of the seat options, and it was in Mexico $2,700 US dollars less than the previous Model 3 rear-wheel drive. That sounds like it should go to China as well.
So the reason Model 3 doesn't sell like Model Y is that there is an ocean of disconnect between what consumers say they want and what they actually want. I've seen infinite people saying, I don't want a full-size pickup. I want a little pickup. I want something little with, like, I still want the 4 doors, but little. I go, Hyundai makes a truck just like that. They go, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, what do you want? Because manufacturers are going to make what people will buy. And while America needs more compact cars, right? But American companies stopped making them because people weren't buying them. And there's that disconnect. I think you're onto a winner there with the even more affordable Model 3. I think we are going to see that Model 2.5. And for those who don't know, Tesla has said, we want to make an intermediate compact, not all the way to the actual real next compact model, but something that's based on the 3 or Y. Herbert, what do you think that could look like? What would an intermediate compact be?
Okay, well, my thinking on this has changed, and you probably will say I'm completely wrong. Everybody's saying the same thing. But there's a rumor that when 1010 comes out, Robotaxi Day, they might actually show the compact car. But the compact car, everybody thinks that that's based on the unboxed model, the $25,000 car. If you are able to sell the Model 3 at $35,000, then there is a room for a $30,000 car. So my point is that, is it possible that this more affordable car isn't just a revised Model 3, right? It's based on the same production line, but it's actually a compact car. And so, I don't know, I'm just completely guessing at this point, and that's the case, but it would make sense that it would not necessarily, like I think you and I talked about this before, right? You could take the front of a Model 3 and then just completely cut off the back and still have the same production line doing this, cut the cost significantly by 5 to 10,000 if you can do that, and then sell that. That would just go bonkers in China. The other, before I want to continue this conversation, but before that, the other thing why Model Y might be so much higher sold than the Model 3 is incentives. In China, it's just a bloodbath there. Everybody has tremendous incentives, and I don't know. We need to find out what are the incentives that the car companies are doing. What is it that Tesla's doing for the Model Y versus the Model 3, perhaps?
So that if you can get $2,700 off your production costs just by switching to cloth seats and a little bit cheaper glass and a little bit cheaper sound system, then making it smaller with fewer atoms would stand to reason that you could make
another $5,000 off.
That you could get at least another 2 to 3, maybe even 5. And right there, you've got your intermediate, and it does still look like a 3 or a Y. I don't know how much you'd want to cut down the Y, but the 3 would be an easy candidate for that. And then it wouldn't cannibalize sales from the Model Y. the way a Model Y based compact would. So I think all of those are not crazy ideas. Juniper. So what we're seeing, the article is saying, and there's some great renders that are out there based on the limited spy shots we have seen.
Gorgeous.
I don't know if that's the best one, but it's pretty good. They just kind of slapped a Model 3, hood on it, but it's about due. It's about due. And I don't think, based on the fact that the Model Y is still selling like crazy, I don't think there's as much urgency to get it out there. Because these are Model 3 and Y last 12 months retail sales.
In China. And this is the shocking part. I'm honestly very shocked at this, that Model Y sales continue to dominate in China. It has not faltered after all these years, after all the competitors out there. And that's good news. Given the economy that, that they were struggling with, Model Y kept its own and it kept selling. And now, of course, like I said earlier, they've introduced new incentives. And so they kind of lowered the price with these financing, 0% financing and others. So those are helping. So in a way that they did lower the price, but still, you know what I mean? I'm just so happy to see the Model Y is continuing its dominance, because it could very well be a totally different story in China right now.
Well, it's the end of the road in China. It's always the end of the road, and it always has been. If you look back, we had very smart people saying that in 2019 that everyone who wants one's already got one, but yet July was the biggest month ever for sales in China. And that's without a whole lot of help from the Model 3 refresh. I really thought that was going to do more than it did. So that's
what we need to dive into a little bit more. Why is Model 3 refresh not doing as well as we all thought it was going to be? Because it's gorgeous. It's an amazing car. It's like probably arguably the most value for the car. The price versus the value what you're getting on this is just tremendous. And it's such a great car. So something's up.
It is a really great car. I had a chance to go out with Scott, a local viewer, a few weeks back and do autocross racing. My first time ever out on the track. And I am not a skilled driver. And this was my first time ever on the track. And out of 61 drivers, I came in number 47. And that's against some cars that are heavily modified. That's against I think there was one other driver there who had never driven before. And for me to come in number 47 in a bone stock car means that the car is doing all the heavy lifting. It was,
I don't think that's the case. Yeah.
That is absolutely the case.
Is not a driver. You're not exactly the race car driver.
I'm not a born race car. I was born to race. No, that's not me. The car did all the work, and it was great. There is track mode. I turned it off. I said, "This is, I need the bridle back on." Well, because I'm not a skilled driver. If you're a skilled driver, you can do that. But this car, stock, just hauled butt around the track. It was fantastic.
Nice.
So So, guys, how critical do you think the Model Y's dominance is in terms of having a refresh? Is it that important? How many people are actually holding off if we're still seeing record sales and it is still the best-selling model in the world? Let us know in the comments. Everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual. Head on over to Brighter, see what Herbert's up to. He's got some fantastic stuff going on, as always. Everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual, and stay tuned and juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots tomorrow when I bring Herbert back for one more exciting bit of news.